Alright, yo, we find ourselves back in a chair, and I'm here talking about why I do not like, and why I think many wrestling fans do not like Cody Rhodes. And I feel like a lot of people have been trying to make up answers for why they think a lot of wrestling fans don't like Cody Rhodes, and I don't feel like I've seen too many videos on why people say they don't like Cody Rhodes. So I make a video myself. Now, firstly, I've made several videos, several TikToks, goofing on Cody Rhodes. Let me just say this. I do not inherently authentically dislike Cody Rhodes as a person. I don't know Cody Rhodes. I don't know Cody Reynolds as a person. So I don't have a hatred for him as a person. I don't know him personally. I do not hate Cody Rhodes as a wrestler. I think Cody Rhodes is a very good wrestler on a really great day. He's a great wrestler, and I think he's had some of the best matches in AEW. My problem is Cody Rhodes as a character. That's where a lot of my dislike for him comes from. It's not the person, it's not his skill in the ring, it's his portrayal that I dislike. And that's when you see me goof on Cody Rhodes, is how he is portrayed, not anything he inherently does outside of the ring or in the ring. It's just how he is portrayed. But let's talk about why Art Anderson, his manager and probably a close friend of his in AEW, thinks that wrestling fans do not like Cody Rhodes. I saw this tweet out on, I believe, at Just Talk Wrestling, and I wanted to really go over that and see and analyze why Art Anderson thinks someone like me may not like Cody Rhodes, and then I'll explain why I really don't like Cody Rhodes. The quote reads, "I don't pretend to be a mind reader, but I'm trying to get in the head of a wrestling fan. The most talented guy and the number one guy in Hollywood right now is The Rock. No disputing that. John Cena was a guy who always said he was dedicating 100% of his time to the fans, to the company, to the business. When he started doing his movies and was no longer in with the WWE, I think fans possibly, I'm not putting words in their mouth, may have felt betrayed that they got their support behind these guys, and when they got red hot, they took off to Hollywood. I don't think that's the case. They earned everything they got, and they deserve a chance to pursue other things. That may be Cody is going to be red hot, do all these shows, and he's not going to be around anymore. I think they might feel a little bit, I don't want to say betrayed, but slightly, a little bit." That is not at all why fans do not like Cody Rhodes. I can't speak for every fan out there, but I could tell you that is majority of people. I would like to think majority of the people who do not like Cody Rhodes, this is not it. Like this definitely is not it for me, and this isn't for them. And let me explain to you why this is the farthest thing from the truth. Firstly, I think all wrestling fans popped very huge when John Cena came back, so I don't really see this parallel between fans feeling betrayed by John Cena leaving, and I don't really see the parallel between fans feeling betrayed when The Rock left, because people popped for them when they came back, and people cheered and applauded and was on their side when they came back. Most wrestling fans, ones that are, have sanity, they understand that there is life beyond the pro wrestling ring. They understand that these wrestlers are just that. They're wrestlers. And when they go home, they are their authentic self. They have interests, they have hobbies, they have other jobs possibly that they do that does not interfere with the art form that they perform. And we understand that. I understand that as a wrestling fan, that somebody like a Brock Lesnar left for a period of time to go do mixed martial arts, the UFC. I watched some of his work in the UFC. Do you think I had a problem with him coming back? Like, oh my God, you left the business. How dare you? You're shunned away. Like, no. I mean, obviously you feel a little jaded. You feel a little like you know what I mean? Like, I wish he would have stayed. But you're not gonna have hatred for the guy because he left. And ultimately, he came back, didn't he? So no, that's not at all the reason why we dislike Cody Rhodes. Like, if anything, I liked when Cody Rhodes left. When Cody Rhodes left to do his show last year and this year, I actually preferred when he was gone, because I wanted time to actually wonder about Cody Rhodes, to possibly miss Cody Rhodes. So I actually liked the time when he was gone. So I don't think that's the reason at all. And before I also get into why I don't like Cody Rhodes, let me take you back to a video I made in July of 2020. which dates back to when I really started to dislike Cody Rhodes, because I don't want anyone to think that I hopped on a bandwagon or that this just started out of the blue. I've been feeling this way about Cody Rhodes for a while, like a while. So let me show you a little brief clip of that.
I'm mad that he won. Why did he no-sell the thumbtack spot? Like, is this man really supposed to be a babyface? I'm sorry. I can't find it in my heart to cheer for Cody at this point. He has good matches. I will never deny that Cody has good matches, but his finishes annoy the shit out of me because they always make his opponents look so dumb. Every week, I feel like every person who faces Cody just looks stupid. And it's because of what Cody does to win the match. You just took a thumbtack spot. Why did you just get up? It's not even like the thumbtack spot happened 5. That was like literally a minute and a half gap between the thumbtack spot and Eddie tapping out. Like, I don't get me wrong, the match was good. I thought it was a good match. But the ending was just, why did you do that? Does Cody not understand that these finishes just, they make him look good and only him look good? I hope he understands. I hope Cody realizes that every finish he does like this, it only makes him look good. And it makes the opponent look so much more inferior. How long did the Kokata go? That match, I think, was 15 minutes. But I feel like the story is there for Darby. He's lost to him twice. And then they had the time limit draw. I could honestly see, like, maybe they have a next match. And then, like, Cody turns heel there. And then Darby beats him in the next match. I could see that. This is about to be title defense number 7 next week. Warhorse. I thought it was going to be Warhorse tonight, but my thing is if Cody going to be doing this to all of his opponents, I don't want to see Warhorse face him. So Warhorse look dumb as hell too. People are saying I don't like that fact that Eddie tapped out. I don't care that Eddie tapped out. I care the fact that Eddie just did a thumbtack spot and then Cody got up like it was nothing. I don't understand how people cheer Cody right now. I don't understand how people cheer Cody. I don't get it.
I have said this multiple times in my live streams and in previous videos, is that Cody Rhodes gives me the Superman complex. He is the guy fighting for his country, fighting for the rights of people who didn't really ask them to fight for him, and he can't do any wrong, and he's invulnerable, and it's very hard to beat Cody. And that is a lot of the reason why I don't like Cody, is that I don't want to say that he buries people, because I would not go that far. I don't think anyone has really been buried outside of Anthony Ogogo. Cody Rhodes, when he hops into these mini feuds, I can't even call them full-length feuds, because Cody really doesn't have full-length feuds. He has mini feuds. He has these brief periods where he faces off against people, then he beats them, and then he moves on to the next person. So I really can't call them full-fledged feuds. But he has these periods where he will hop into a program with a wrestler. Let's take Pentagon El Zero Miedo earlier in the year. He hopped into a program with Pentagon. Now, the way it started was that Pentagon attacked Cody, which is seems to be the running trend with a lot of Cody's feuds, is that these people either turn on Cody or they attack Cody. And you always ask yourself, why do you hate Cody so much? Like, I always ended up asking myself, why do these people hate him so much? Because it seems like everybody has an issue with Cody, but then when they explain it, you're like, I mean, I don't really feel like he wronged you personally, but okay. So he hops into this program with these people. More often than not, they either end up winning the first match and then Cody beats them, or Cody just beats them in the first match and then he moves on. Cody often will get the win in some way, shape, or form. There is very rarely where Cody actually loses. Now, I know the first thing you're going to say is, oh, Malachi Black. And yes, I will give Cody credit for putting Malachi Black over 2 times. I don't remember the last time he's done that, where he's put someone over 2 times consecutive. That might be the first time he actually has done that, because he had a feud with Chris Jericho where Chris Jericho beat him and he did not get his win back. And he had a feud with MJF where MJF beat him and he did not get his win back. So those are 2 feuds where Cody Rhodes lost, and that's it. But there has not been a feud where Cody Rhodes has lost 2 consecutive times. So that is one. Okay, that is one that I will give you. That is one that I will give Cody Rhodes. But you can list me any other Cody Rhodes feud, and I guarantee you it is following a trend of he either beat him and he never faced them again, or he lost to them and then he came back and he beat them again. So the structuring of his feuds is one reason why I don't like Cody Rhodes. They all are very formulaic and they all make him look good. And very rarely do his opponents look good in defeats. It always seems like his opponents either look stupid, or they tend to just straight up lose to Cody Rhodes. There really is no way where Cody Rhodes, I can't say there's no way, because there are some instances like Malachi Black beating him twice, like Brody Lee getting, squashing Cody in their first match. There are some instances where Cody Rhodes does make his opponents look strong, but in most cases, Cody Rhodes either just beats his opponents or his opponents have some stupid finish. Like I always think back to the match that Cody had with Darby Allin, where Darby Allin did a coffin drop onto Cody Rhodes and he reversed it into crucifix pin. It was one of the dumbest finishes I ever seen in a wrestling match in my entire life, and I still have not forgiven Cody Rhodes for it. But back to my point. You take up the structure of his feuds, you take up his finishes in his matches, and now he always beats his opponents. But let's take a step back to just the entrances. Firstly, Cody Rhodes is the only wrestler in the entire AEW roster that has a distinct entrance. As you could say, some wrestlers have special entrances that make them stand out, but everyone always comes from the left tunnel or the right tunnel. Unless your name is Cody Rhodes, because you get to come from the middle tunnel. He has the very special entrance with all the smoke, the he just feels like a big deal, and there's nothing wrong with it on the surface of him feeling like a big deal, but when it happens so often and you see it so often and you combine it with his wins and him not putting over a lot of people and him being the executive vice president of the company, it just, there's something that feels wrong about that. There's something that feels wrong about you being the EVP of the wrestling company that you're so prominently featured in. Like, say that out loud to yourself. Say that out loud to yourself. You have some role in a company where you look the absolute best out of almost everybody else on the roster. Now, when you say it out loud, doesn't that sound kind of funny to you? So the feuds, the finishes, the fact that he doesn't really have a lot of wrestlers beat him too often, and yes, I understand. He has had wrestlers beat him, but more often than not, Cody Rhodes actually beats these wrestlers in the end. His entrance is over the top. The ending of his matches tend to be over the top a lot. Go back to the time when he was the inaugural TNT champion, and he feuded with most of his roster. He didn't feud with them, but he had a match with several members of his roster. I keep saying his roster because he is the executive vice president, and technically, these wrestlers are his employees. So it is his roster. Go back to last year when he was the TNT champion, and he had just about 7 to 8 matches where he just beat guys on his roster. And I always think back to his match with Jungle Boy, his first TNT championship reign, where Cody Rhodes was in the main event of the show. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with them trying to make the TNT championship feel important. I get that you should make all of your championships feel important. So at main event of the show, cool. He had the grand entrance. Okay, I'm used to it. The match ends and Cody Rhodes beats Jungle Boy. How did they end out the match? Pyro. Cody Rhodes standing tall. Jungle Boy raising his hand up in the air like Cody Rhodes is the overcoming hero. It was just so hokey. It was so over the top. It was so unnecessary. That's part of the reason why. A lot of these Cody Rhodes isms, a lot of these things are so unnecessary for Cody Rhodes to have. He doesn't need pyro at the end of his matches. He doesn't need to have these long, overdrawn and that's another thing, are his promos. The context of the promos are usually the issue and not really what he is, like the motive behind the promos. It's always the context. He always has these long, overdrawn promos where it's about, I'm fighting for my country, I have this baby who's mixed and my wife who's black, and I'm fighting for this. I'm fighting for this. I am this. He makes himself look so important, like he is the hero of the story. And it's like, people did not ask you to be the hero of the story. Let us organically like you. Like, I want to organically like Cody Rhodes, but he's shoved in my face so much that it's almost like you're forcing me upon you. And that's why I feel like you have a lot of wrestling fans who say that Cody Rhodes is trying to make himself feel like a bigger star than he actually is, because he always looks like he is the biggest star of the show when he is on TV, whether he's in the main event or he's in a prime spot. Cody Rhodes feels like he is a bigger deal than the AEW champion, than the tag team champions, than the world champion. He just has that semblance to him, and it's dislikable. A lot of wrestling fans don't have an issue with that because they like Cody Rhodes as a wrestler, and that's fine. I have a great investment in the characters behind the wrestlers before I get to the actual wrestling. You could be the best wrestler in the world. You can legit be the greatest of all time in the ring. But if you don't have a character, there's going to be a great level of investment that I'm just not going to have in you. Yeah, I might tune in to watch your matches because you're the best at what you do. But as far as you chasing and being in feuds and wanting to see you be that, it's like I might not be as invested as I am in maybe Hangman Page, who I don't think is the greatest wrestler in AEW, but he has one of the best stories, one of the best characters in AEW. I might be more invested in a Darby Allin, who may not be one of the greatest wrestlers in AEW, but he has a very compelling character. I might be more invested in Britt Baker, who I don't think she's the best women's wrestler in the ring in AEW, but she has one of the best characters in the entire company. I might be more invested in them than I am the greatest wrestler in the actual company because these guys actually have stories that I like to see. And with Cody Rhodes, I find myself not caring about his stories or not wanting to see him in any stories because he's this good guy. He portrays himself as the good guy, as the underdog, when in actuality, he's not the underdog. There is no obstacle for him to overcome. He is the obstacle to overcome. Go into a lot of his feuds. How often does Cody Rhodes look like he is the underdog? And don't say Malachi Black, because I just spoke on him. How often does Cody Rhodes look like the underdog in his stories? The only time I could think is Brody, MJF, and Chris. I really can't even say Chris Jericho, so really just MJF and Brody. In any other storyline I've seen Cody in, I have never perceived him as the underdog. It's put out there. It's presented as if this is supposed to be the case. But when you look deeper into it and you watch these shows each and every single week, it doesn't feel that way. I end up rooting for the other person to beat Cody. And I just want to see Cody go away. Cody just has go away heat with me sometimes because he's doing too much. I'm not begging for a Cody Rhodes heel turn because I don't really see him turning heel. I feel like he's so full of himself character-wise that I don't think he has it in him to turn heel. Now, as a person, I feel like that's probably partially true as well. But if Cody Rhodes were to turn heel, that would do wonders for him. Wonders for him because he in the past has proven that he has what it takes to be a tremendous heel. He and his wife, I think they're a great heel couple when they were in Ring of Honor, when they were in Impact Wrestling, their time in New Japan. They were great bad guys. And Cody Rhodes has what it takes to be an excellent bad guy in AEW. But he always tries to make himself look like the good guy, and there's just something to not like about that. If Cody Rhodes did not turn heel, if he just scaled it down by a lot, I'm not saying you got to get rid of all the pyro that he ever does in the world, but let's just say some of these unnecessary segments, like the announcing the gender reveal of his baby, get rid of those segments. We don't need those. Or my wife is black and I love I'm biracial baby, and like get rid of all that stuff. All the political correctness and get rid of all that. We don't need that in the Cody Rhodes character. Get rid of all the ending. He doesn't need pyro at the end of his matches. Maybe every once in a blue moon, he shouldn't come up from the middle of the ramp. Once in a blue moon, have him come from the left side. That would change things up a bit. Maybe have him go on a losing streak. I haven't seen him go on a losing streak. Have you seen him going on one? That could humble him. That could humble the character a lot. Have him go on a losing streak. Just scale him down and I would not have an issue with him. But he is on, this is the level, and then he's like up here all the time. If he could come down below for a second and then slowly rise back up to the level where he should be, I guarantee you a lot of wrestling fans would not even complain about Cody anymore. I don't complain just to complain. I have reasons for why I don't like people. So if Cody Rhodes just scaled down a little bit, I would stop. I probably would like Cody Rhodes. There was a point in time where I liked Cody Rhodes, believe it or not. When AEW first started, I liked Cody Rhodes. Once 2020 happened, it flipped. And ever since then, it's just been consistent. I don't want to see Cody Rhodes. If for anybody who is still asking why people don't like Cody Rhodes, go to this video and start from 000. There you go. Also, side note, I don't know which day this is being uploaded on, but assuming it's being uploaded on September the 29th, tonight I will be live on twitch.tv/suplex for the world premiere of Roads to the Top. Yes, I will be torturing myself. Please tune in. Make it worth it. Let's have fun.